the serpent colonists of the Americas. When we look at the name America, many only associate America with the Inca kings. We understand the Inca kings list and Carlos V in the conquering of the New World, and the Itmis Darien and the Panama, and eventually the conquest of Califia, the Californias, ancient Mexico, ancient coast. You look at the dead and the land of the dead and this location of Mesoamerica, which is 90 degrees west along this pole. You understand the Toltec, the Tula, the Temple of Warriors, and the protection of the guardians. We look at the Teotihuacan and the city of the gods, the pyramid of the moon, the pyramid of the sun, the soul, and the serpent. You look at the jackal, the Tanim, and the dead, and this 90 degrees west, this pole. You understand the Mississippi, this ancient culture of mound builders, this prehistoric empire. When we look at a mound builder, this is a prehistoric empire and culture of agriculture, of existing cultivation, occult knowledge built upon mathematics and sound and vibration, praise and worship, dance, the colors, the arts, everything that is within this material realm, the alchemy of life and the sound, the formation, the beginning of that life. We understand the beginnings and sound, the voice, the coal. We look at the crackle and the ancient mythologies behind the thundering and lightnings, Zeus, and many different Greek and Greco-Roman ideologies that come to mind when one thinks of God and the hearing of God and the voice and the hearing of the order, the light that was formed. When Genesis 1 says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And understand that said, Hebrew number 559, Amar, used to answer, appoint, a vouch, bid, boast, self, call, certify, challenge, charge. When we look at the charge and the order of light, and God saw the light and it was good. When we look at the Bakol and the daughter of the voice, the echo of the heavenly voice, the divine voice, literally, daughter of voice, the voice of God, the heavenly or divine, the oracles. You understand, Amarakas, the Black Madonna, the mother and child. We understand with Moab, not the narrative of Moab but to understand that coming from the material mother, from the spirit of the father, the existence of this earth and all material, and the knowledge of that, hidden knowledge of that sound, that loudness of obedience, this proclamation that was Amar in the beginning in Genesis 1. And God said, that proclamation is what aligned America in his naming, is hearing. Now the lights, whether it's the Star Spangled Banner or the anthem that America tries to hold on to, which references the stars. We understand the firmament, the Rakaya, the Rockies and the Colorado Rockies, and how these rocky areas in the Andes where we find the serpent mythology and with the Inca were a protection for not only for the Americas, but for the islands of Polynesia, Hawaii, and the Pacific, the Okeanos.
Footstools and haze and hells in the depths of right where you have moved. Understand the footstool of the Most High, where death and judgment, fire takes place, right? Understand haze, hell. So when you understand about haze and hell, right, and the Dead Sea moved, right, moved, right, dead. Look at dead, right, in Hebrew, moved. Right, and you understand seas, the South Seas is dealing with the westward end. Understand the Hebrew number C for seas, H3220, right? And you see C, right? Assyrian, Aamu, move. Look at dead, right? In Hebrew, move, right? And you understand seas, the South Seas is dealing with the westward
crux. When you look at Veracruz and Aero, Mexico, traveling here to the True Cross, Veracruz, and the True Crossing, into the Soul's Day, into the Soul's Crossing. These navigations were essential to the travels and the movement of the soul crossing into these different lands following the procession of time. This is how the movement of the soul and time and everything that was in this material essence that came from the woman would be aligned and documented. Hey, 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 hey. Get it. Okay. So when you look at Halloween and Day of the Dead and Orion's Belt and this circuit board, which we find also in China, in Egypt, this constellation of Orion's Belt, the mighty hunter. When you look at Nimrod and the many Nimrods, but in the biblical, this character Nimrod that is responsible for a lot of religions, or all religions, I could say, or argue to say, formed from this mythology. Understanding the foundation of the earth has been taken to form all world's religions and been mystified to where teachings and explanations of functionality have become demonic. So when we look at October and the 8th in this particular time, as from going from the Libra scales to the Scorpio, for the tallies, for the calculations, right, for the beginning of, we look at Eber Nation, the crossing over, we're talking about the cross, Eber, or bearing, the bringing forth, coming from mother, we understand Moab. You look at Utah and these regions, and the Colorado River and the different rivers, even the Mississippi River, as we saw earlier, the connections with coming into this region of the true crossing, Veracruz, or the Soul's crossing, Ecuador, and these lands into Easter Island, into the Pacifics, into the southern crossing of, when we look at Orion's Belt, in this particular mythology of the winter solstice and the sun dying, during this time of the south in Oceania, Okeanos, O'Kane, in this mythology of the Kona winds. We understand Okeano and Kane and the Kona winds and the direction of coming into these regions of the South Pacific. But at this current time, this landmark from the Mississippi across Texas into Moab, Utah, into the California coast, and to Mesoamerica, when we look at the Mississippi Valley mound building culture, whether it's the shell mounds here on the coastal region or the earthen mounds we find throughout the United States of the northern portion. These are the ancient formations of the first masonry we see along these grid lines that form our major cities throughout the world. These are epic centers. You know, we look at magnetism and the use of energy and how powerful we really are, to the point that shutoffs and different things of PG&E electric, since there's a social viral disease that's taking place. If you understand about a disease and the chaos within it, we look at the solar sun. This is what this light, this order, this process of calculation and time and structure was developed from this foundation. These foundations have been used since the ancients of time to manipulate men or to manipulate matter, to cause rocks to turn into gold, to make water come from rocks. We understand the liquidation process of ice becoming water, becoming vapor, these cycles, these changes, these processions of different forms of matter that are altered due to heat, pressure, climate change. This knowledge, this sacred knowledge, these sacred teachings is what established the major religions throughout the world. So when we look at these things, these rituals and theatrics of religion, religio binding, the word sound, the cold. When you look at the priests and Kuku Clan in some of these ancient locations in the hearing, people call themselves omens, amens. Understand the land of Amen and Teotihuacan and the city of the gods and the calculations. As we look into come into this time of Scorpio, you understand the calculating, the score, the observation that takes place during Libra, and then the calculation of the score, the calculation to mark and to return again to mark a new year. This process of time and this navigation is what we're talking about. An ancient prehistoric empire functions. It's like a kingdom exists universally. So these grid lines and these circuits, when you look at the ancients, and it says the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times to know what Israel do, the heads of them were 200, all of their brethren were at their commandment. 1 Chronicles 12 and 32. So when you look at the sons of Issachar and the omens and the hearing of the heavens, as you see here, Amaraka, the land of the serpents. We look at the Inca Kings list, Hurru, and the sacred knowledge here of America, of agriculture, occultism. We look at culture and cultivating, and the three sisters, and the development of maize, squash, and beans, and how their support of one another allowed them to flourish. And we understand the function of these three sisters, some call it, but these three different agricultural plants that allowed, that supported the height of the corn, the maize, along with the squash and the beans together, allowed them to grow together. And this way you look at the mounds and the mound building culture, Amaraka, Amur, in the beginning when God said, Amar, command, that sound, right? That saying of Amar, to speak light, Amar or. We understand Amera and Rakaya. We understand the Rakaya, the firmament, the heavens. And as we see here, when reading this about the kingdom of the Naga, serpents, and the immortals being here in this land of darkness, the Indies, understand where the sun dies and the connection with the dead. And when we look at the souls, All Souls Day, Samhain, the Day of the Dead, the Book of the Dead, it's dealing with the soul and the procession. We understand the phoenix and the crossing from death into life. This is why we begin the new day in darkness, in the eve, in the mother, in the veil, in the protection, in the covering. Shalom.